Hey, future engineers, another vector sample problem here. So I want to take vector P and add it to vector Q and figure out what that is. So if P is 15.3 newtons at 104 degrees, Q is 23.1 newtons at 172 degrees. These are not going in the same direction, so I can't just add them. They're not going in opposite directions, so I can't just subtract them, which means that I have to do step one, which is going to be components. So I'm going to say P sub x, which is going to be 15.3. And remember y sign because x is cosine. So I'm going to say 15.3 times the cosine of 104. And then to find the y value, I'm going to say 15.3 times the sine of 104. Those, when you put them into your calculator, come out to be negative 3.70 and 14.85. Should the x one have been negative? Yeah, because 104 is in the second quadrant. It should have a negative x and a positive y. Should this y number have come out bigger than the x number? Yeah, because 104 is heading more up than it is heading over. So again, do the same thing for q. So q sub x is going to be 23.1 times the cosine, y sine because x is cosine. That comes out to be negative 22.9. And then I'm going to have q sub y, which will be 23.1 times the sine of 172, and that comes out to be 3.22. Now, the beautiful thing about these guys is these are both heading in the x direction, so can't I literally add them up and get an x total value? Negative 26.6. These are both heading in the y direction, so can't I add them up and get a y total value, 18.1. And now the next step is to draw a picture. We're not going to draw a picture of these two original vectors because as soon as we put them into components, they literally go away. We're only left with our components, and then when we add those together, they go away, and we're left with an x and a y total. So if I have an x total here of negative 26, I'm going to draw my picture that's heading in the negative. I have a positive y, which is heading this way proportionately, maybe about that height, and that is 18.1. Now, if this goes up and this goes left, then my resultant has to go up and left, and that's where my r value is going to be. Remember that the beautiful thing about x's and y's, they are at 90 degrees to each other. So this is 26.6, parallel is equal and opposite, this is 18.1, the parallel is equal and opposite. Now I have a right triangle that I can find the value of the hypotenuse using the Pythagorean theorem, 26.6 squared plus 18.1 squared, square rooted. And that comes out to be 32.1 newtons. Now I'm not done yet because that's only the magnitude of the vector. I still need the degrees or the angle or the direction. So remember that every vector goes back to the zeroed line or back to the origin. Well, I already know that this angle here is 90 degrees. So if I can find this angle here, I'm going to call it theta, then I can add it to 90, and that would be my total angle. To do the theta, I'm going to look at sine, cosine, and tangent then. I'm going to pick the tangent just because, say the inverse tangent is going to be the opposite, 26.6, over the adjacent, 18.1, which comes out to be 55.8 degrees. Now remember, 55.8 degrees is in the first quadrant, so to get it into the second quadrant, we still have to add 90 degrees to it for a total of 146 degrees. And that then would be our sum of P and Q, 32.1 newtons at 146 degrees.